Alright YouTube, it is finally time for the long-awaited review of the Toro Z Master 2000 series that I have here. The reason I didn't do it earlier is I generally don't like reviewing equipment as soon as I get them. I like to put a few hours on them before I give my actual opinion on things and sort of point out flaws and stuff, and things I like, things I don't like. And I mean, it wouldn't make sense for me to do an instant video and saying this is the best machine ever and this is perfect, because there is no perfect machine out there. They all have their perks, ups and downs. And if you do quote you have the perfect machine, you've probably only had one, or I don't know, who knows. Alright, so yes, this is the Toro Z Master 2000 series. It is the exact same machine as a Exmark E-Series, with some slight differences. The deck is slightly different on the Exmark. It's a little less robust than the one on the Toro. It's built a little bit lighter. The E-Series is more expensive. The Pioneer is actually more expensive than the 2000 series. But this is the entry-level commercial zero-turn from Toro. So if you're looking for a good, solid entry-level machine, this will fill that void. So I'll take you off the stand here and get you a little closer. So I have the one with the Turbo Force 52-inch deck. I think you can get a 48 and a 60 or 62, something like that. When you spec that, the only thing that it changes is the deck, and I believe the engine for the 48 might be a 20 horsepower. This is a 22, and on the 48 you have the lighter duty hydro setup. I think they're ZT 3100s or 4100s, while this is the 40. Hang on, let me look. Don't want to say anything wrong here. They're underneath the machine. This machine has the bigger ones, yeah, right there. The Hydro Gear ZT 3400, and I believe the 48-inch has the Hydro Gear ZT 3100. Slightly smaller, mainly just because how heavy the deck is. This machine is a very heavy deck. It is built extremely tough. This deck is. It has hit plenty of trees already. And as you can see, no paint missing on this side and no dents at all. There's little scratches on that side, but that's pretty normal. I mean, it hurts to kick this thing. It's so thick and heavy. Yeah. The seat, this is the stock seat that comes with it. Just your beginner armrest. You got a seat belt down there, retractable. It slides up and back and forth. This, I believe, is all the way forward, which in a zero turn, being able to reach anything with your feet is not necessary, really, because it's all controlled by your hands. This side of the machine, you can see pretty much the other side. You have your fuel tank right here. This is sort of a different design than most zero turns. Most zero turns have the fuel tanks like straddled on the side, like underneath where these containers be. This one actually put it underneath it, and the reason why they did that is to lower the gravity even more. So the lower gravity of the machine you have, the better it is on hills and less topsy-turvy, I guess it would be. I believe this is an 8-gallon fuel tank. It's pretty big, and I've actually never filled it completely up, because it does hold quite a bit. Let's see here. Moving on. This model, the model number for this is the 74143. This is the slightly older model. The new one, I think, just has gray wheels instead of white. My wheels are white. I think the newer model has gray wheels. That's the only difference. You got your front casters here. The caster bearings up here, right here, are greasable. I don't have a greaser in there right now. There's just a screw covering the hole, but they are greasable. If they say they're not greasable, all you need is a grease zerk and it screws into there. Not too bad. You got two rollers right here for your deck. Another one over here. A complaint I've been hearing on YouTube recently is the need for a roller on this side of the deck. I haven't really found a need for it yet. I could see if you're mowing like constant slopes, maybe you might want one, so when you turn around or something going down, you don't dig into the ground a bit. But I've really never had a problem with it. Yeah, your casters, can't really read the size. It's 13 times 5 times 6 NHS. These are Carlisle, or however you want to say that, tires. Haven't been a problem at all. They're not tubeless or airless, and they're not solid. They are tubeless tires. Sorry if I repeated that. Yeah, they are tubeless. Haven't had a problem with it. Moving on, this is the lift linkage. That's another problem I've heard on YouTube. Like I said, I'm trying to be fair in this review. I'm going to point out what people said, not necessarily what I've experienced. My previous YouTube videos, I go back and read them and see what people dislike about them. And I want to point that out. Not saying anything about this machine. This is a great machine so far. A lot of people say the deck is really heavy, so it's hard to lift. But this is your lift pedal. You can buy a spring-loaded function for it to make it a little easier to lift if you have problems lifting it. I don't lift it that often. I mainly keep it down just because I don't go very far with this machine. It doesn't go on a trailer often or anything, so I really don't have to lift it. But the deck height adjustment's pretty easy. You just pull the pin. The pin is locking, so when you push it in there, it doesn't come out. It's locked in there. But you just put your pin where you want your deck to be. Like that would be 3. This would be 2 inches. And then this is your lock. You push down on the lever down here, and you pull this up, and you can let it down. And then when you want to put it back up, you just pull this lever to the lock and push the pedal, and it'll push it back up. Pretty easy. Something else cool to take note is how thick the steel is on this mower deck linkage. Like, I don't know what thickness that is, but there ain't no way you're gonna bend that. I'm thinking that's 1/2 inch or maybe even 5/8 thick, and that is solid. Ain't going anywhere at all. This is a floating deck, as you can see. You got chains up here that allow it to contour to the ground. Allows for a nice cut. Back here too, it's kind of a sliding groove type thing. You can see your series number. I did output my deck with a mulching cover. And to put this on, you have to put a few baffles underneath as well. Not too hard. I think I had to cut one bolt off because it was so tightened down so tight. But the mulching works good, and the side discharge worked well too. It just puts out a lot of grass because it makes a very clean cut. Moving on, your rear tires, Super Turf Kenda tires, 23s, 9.5 12s. Pretty good tire. Not very good on asphalt. If it's wet, you're not going to get anywhere. But on grass, it works very well. This one comes with the roll bar, which is nice, and it folds down. You just push up and then pull the pins out. The pins are spring-loaded, so you won't lose them. Really quick and easy. Takes less than a minute to flip them up, flip them down. Probably less than 30 seconds. And another complaint I've heard on YouTube, I'm not verifying this at all, I haven't had this problem, is the springs in here like to vibrate a little bit, and these things like to vibrate, and you can hear it while the rollover is up. Not saying this happens, not saying it doesn't happen, just saying that's what people have said. I don't have this issue, but some other people have. Moving on, it's just a standard battery, it's maintenance free. I have the one that just comes with the machine. It's kind of not branded at all. It's just a black battery, which is kind of weird. From March of 13, I guess. moving on to the coolest part is the engine. When I was zero turn shopping for the different zero turns, engine choice was a big important part for picking what machine we were going to get. And many of the machines in this class didn't have very nice engines. They had like stripped down models of this engine, where they had, you know, the lower Briggs & Stratton engines, even a Kohler Courage. I looked at a Kubota and it had a Kohler Courage, and I looked at another Kubota too and it had a Kubota engine. But still, many of the engines that I looked at in the zero turn machines, they had lower quality engines or lower duty engines that just weren't impressive for what you had to pay for them. Most of them were actually more expensive than the machine, and you didn't get this series of engine. This is the Kawasaki FX series. This is pretty much the most robust series of engine and most used engine you can get for zero turns, pretty much. This is the carbureted model, but being the FX, I get the big dual cyclonic air filter with like snorkel thing. Dual barrel carburetor I get. It's a very smooth engine. It puts out 22 horsepower and I believe 39 foot-pounds of torque. So pretty awesome. Oil changes a breeze. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a pipe right here and you just flip it out and untwist the bolt at the end and drains your oil real quick, and then you can fill it back up. I think it holds 2.1 quarts. But it's a very, very powerful engine. I haven't been able to bog it down much. It starts really quick, and no complaints about that. The air filter is really nice. I'll get my tripod here so I can take it out. It's a two-stage cyclonic, but it comes out really easily. They're kind of cool too, because the town I go to college in, they actually make these. And many of the engineers that I go to school with actually work at the plant. But as you can see, it just clips off, comes off like that. That's the back side. You got your dirt trap. You got your main air filter, which is huge. It's like a truck air filter. Definitely clean. There you go, Donaldson. And then you got your inner filter, which is this, just like a micro particle filter that just helps keep it even cleaner. I don't know what these are rated to. Probably quite a bit. Probably, I don't know, 300-400 hours probably. I already have a spare. I might be able to get the model number for that. But actually there's a Donaldson part number on there for you. But yep, very nice. So far so good with that. It pretty much doesn't get dirty. Runs like a top. And I know the newer models, I believe some of them you can get the EFI engine. That's another engine that was available in the class of zero turns like this. I believe it was Dixie Chopper that I tried, had the EFI engine, so it was Kohler. I've heard those are pretty good. I actually picked this over the EFI Kohler. Fuel usage, it's pretty good on fuel. I have a hard time measuring how much fuel I use because I'm not the only one that uses this machine. My whole family uses it. As you can see, we got a lot to mow. Yeah, I don't keep track of fuel usage, but I'm willing to bet it's somewhere around 1.6 gallons per hour or so. That's just a guess and what I've seen online. Obviously, if you're working it harder, it's going to use more. But more with the FX, you get a metal shrouded engine, which is nice, not the plastic stuff. You get a metal leaf guard and a metal, I don't know if you can see that little circly thing in there, that's a metal leaf chopper. To chop up anything that goes in there so it can flow through the engine and out instead of getting trapped in here and heating up the engine pretty good. This Kawasaki is made in the USA. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's assembled at least. But many of the parts down here, they actually say they're casted as well. Let me see if I can find something right there. Made in the USA. So if you're worried about things being made in the USA, this Kawasaki is made in the USA. I have another Kawasaki. It's a liquid cooled machine that's made in Japan, but surprise, surprise, this one's made in the US, which is cool. And this is the FX691V. You can get bigger engines than that. You can get smaller ones. I don't think a smaller one would have a problem, or a bigger one, running this machine. Your hydro release is right there. Very hard. I don't really like that placement, to be honest. That's one gripe I have. It's very hard to shift out of it, first of all. There's one right there, and one right there for each hydro. A, it's really hard to get it into that unlock position, and B, it's kind of a design flaw, I believe, because if you're running this all day and you're stuck and you need to turn off your hydros, you got to reach back here. Not so much this side, but the other side, right next to the engine, which would be burning hot, and get that hydro out, and those aren't easy to get out. Same with, this is the side that's even worse, because you got that valve cover right there. You stick your hand in there, you are right next to that valve cover, and if you touch that, you're going to get burned trying to get that pulley out. Get the hydraulic release undone. But yeah, that's a kind of a dumb design flaw on this machine. You got this big muffler. I think this is the newer style mufflers that exhaust out the back here. A lot of them used to go underneath. But yeah, get you a little view underneath the machine here. Not much to it. There is your clutch for your deck drive. There's your ZT3400 hydro gear transmissions. They're an all-in-one pump and motor assembly, so you don't have hoses or anything going around everywhere. I have done the fluid changes on those and filter changes. It's very easy to do, and if you haven't done it and you have a new machine, I think you have to do it within a few hours, just like you do the oil change in the beginning. It's very easy, pretty cheap to do too, so I suggest you do it. Once again, these are the ZT3400s. The 48-inch has the ZT3100s. I don't know really the difference between them. This has a big filter on each one right there. And let's see, right there, there's a filter behind those where it says hydro gear. And you have a reservoir for your hydraulic fluid up here. You don't top it off, you just sort of keep a little bit into it. Like this, just keep enough that so when it expands, it can expand into this tank. And if it contracts and it needs more, it'll fill it back up. Not too hard of a system to keep track of. No hoses that burst, which is nice. Yeah, you can see in there's a hydraulic cooling fan. There's two of them next to the gas tank. This is kind of goofy because dirt actually fills up that little centerpiece in that fan. You can see it in there. Those work well, no complaints. They're extremely powerful little hydro gear things. Here's a good example. See if you can get into there and see that. Yeah, see the fan fills up with dirt. I think they all mainly do that though. Yeah, that's the hydro gear in there. Okay, coming up to the machine, you have a little storage pocket. I put my Husqvarna earmuffs in there. I really like those and really suggest them for this job. You got a cup holder, which has a slot for like a mug, which is nice so it doesn't move around. Like a coffee mug if you drink coffee, or you have water bottles, or like a handled Tervis or something like that. That fits well in there. Your deck. On this side, once again, you have a little cover right here. These are plastic and really easy to remove. There's big pulleys in there which are not serviceable. You can't grease them. They're sealed for life or something like that. Or I guess until they break. Coming on top of the machine, underneath here you have your service for your deck pulleys. If you blow that out, makes it really easy. You also have one of the few grease fittings right there for that idler tension pulley. You do that every 50 hours, not too bad. And this just goes down like so. Nice heavy piece of steel. From the operator's station, there's plenty of room on the floor. Your seat slide is right here. You can put yourself way back here. I'm too short to go all the way up. go all the way back. I pretty much drive all the way up. Your armrest, once again, I already went over this. Your seatbelt. Seatbelt is actually made in the USA too. It is a locking, so when you connect it, the seatbelt, it locks down on you. So you can't get thrown off the machine, and you're not going to move around much. I actually use the seatbelt because my yard's pretty bumpy and you get thrown around a lot, so it just sort of keeps you in place. More effective mowing, and you don't get thrown around as much. You can see sort of in there you got your shocks and stuff. Your drive control comes in. Got your handles. The control panel here, very simple to use. Nothing, just like any other mower. Got your mower deck. Your choke is over here since this is a carbureted. Your engine throttle and your full speed has a lock on it, so keep it locked in. You got your hour meter, which mine has 104.7 hours, so it's still pretty young. And then your key. I think the Exmarks have sort of a different hour meter system. I think they have sort of a maintenance minder in it. This is just an hour meter. I can keep track of maintenance myself just fine. Never had a problem with it. But yeah, I guess I can start it up for you guys. I actually just started this for the morning a few minutes ago, so I don't know if it'll need choke or not. So sort of choke it a bit and then put it like half throttle. Already got it into accessory, as you can see. Alright, so it's warmed up. It doesn't need choke. Your parking brake is here also, by the way. That's an important one. Let you listen to this engine for a moment. You can see how nice it purrs. Purrs a little nicer than my liquid cooled, actually. I don't know if it's as quiet as my liquid cooled, but it's actually, I'd say it's very smooth. It doesn't have any misses every now and then. Very smooth engine. I'll let you listen to it from the rear. Hopefully you heard some of that. That squeaky noise you heard is the clutch brake. This machine has a brake on the mower deck, so when you turn it off, it comes to a complete stop very quickly, mainly for emergencies and stuff like that. So you can see, very smooth machine, chugging away, probably idle for hours like this. Very serviceable. And try to squeeze in a little mowing here for you. I actually cut my grass just the other day. Let me see what I can do here. Then get you a little grass cutting video. I have another grass cutting video if you want to go see it. It's on my channel, but I'll try to get one real quick for the review here. As you can see, it cuts pretty quick. I wasn't going full speed there. I don't know, it's just a small space, no need to go that fast. Don't know what the top speed is of this. I think it's 8 miles an hour, 9 miles an hour, something along that line. I'm gonna go in the garage, show you a few other things, and get back to you once I get in there. Thanks. Okay, you guys, I'm back in the comfort of my garage here. Now, I thought I'd show you some parts, literature, and some things important to this mower if you plan on buying it or already own it, and things such as that. This is some important things to know, maybe write down, keep on hand, that kind of stuff. Okay, first thing to start off is oil. This machine has a 200-hour life for the oil filter and 100 hours life for the oil. So you have to change the oil every 100 hours and the oil filter every 200 hours. So you pretty much go 2 oil changes with 1 filter. For me, I wouldn't suggest that just because, I don't know, I don't trust the filter that long, to be honest. Maybe on synthetic, but definitely not for 200 hours on a severe duty machine like that. Something that gets ran hard in the hot sun for a long time. Commercial companies most likely do it just fine, but for me, I like longevity, and 100 hours is good enough for me to do an oil change. That's what I have another machine over here. It gets an oil change every 100 hours. That's the old mowing rig. That's the one with the liquid-cooled Kawasaki in it. It's being pretty much, not the engine, but the whole frame, body, chassis, all that stuff is being rebuilt just because it's deteriorated pretty good. So back over here, point out some important things here. Engine oil. This is a good Kawasaki SAE 30 4-cycle engine oil. Like I said, it takes 2.1 quarts, so you actually have to buy 3 of these to do an oil change, which is kind of dumb. They should have made it a little bit bigger, would have been nice. But yeah, SAE 30 will work. This is your cheaper option. I'll let you see the back of it. This is sort of what they suggest. Of course, for warranty reasons, that's why I've been using Kawasaki. Just because if we have any warranty problems, it's always easier to say, hey, I use Kawasaki or any engine problems with the oil. It's always easier to say, hey, I use Kawasaki engine oil. Can't really be at fault here, you know. But yeah, this is K-Tech 4-cycle engine oil. The more expensive option, which is just as good, might burn a little bit more oil with the 10 weight. But this is a SAE 10 weight 30, and this is the synthetic blend. So I'll let you, if you want to pause it and read that. Give you a second here. This is another good option for these FX engines, more specifically the 691V that I have. Mine puts out 22 horsepower, but I think they have different ratings for many of them. But once again, there you can see, this is the synthetic blend, so it's most likely a mixture of conventional and synthetic. I don't think I've used this yet, to be honest, but it's probably next in line to be used. I got a few more of these SA30s I got to go through before I do that. Okay, next is your engine filter for this machine. If you're going with the Kawasaki stuff, it's part number 490657007. You can read it to double check right there. This is the oil filter. This is what they suggest changing every 200 hours. I would suggest every 100 just because just longevity reasons. Once again, this part is actually made in the USA. Odds are it's not made by Kawasaki. It's probably made by some other brand. Who knows? Installation directions right there if you want those. May be beneficial to some. But yeah, that's for the 691V motor. Don't know if it would fit the other ones. Odds are it probably will. But yeah. Okay, the next thing is air filter. This is the big outside, the bigger filter, and that is part number 1083810. Actually, hang on, that's not right. That is a smaller filter. I recognize that. I think I might have already. That is a filter for a different motor, I believe. But yeah, that might be a Toro. Well, it actually is 1083810, made in Mexico. This one's actually made in Mexico. And for your spark plugs for this machine, these ones just so happen to be Biggs & Stratton, but you can cross-reference it. Maybe my macro might work, hopefully. So you can get it to work here. But it's Briggs & Stratton spark plug 491055T. You probably want to cross-reference that into maybe NGK. I think that's what's on the machine anyway. But yeah, that's your big exterior filter. And your inner filter is that part number. Right there. I'm not going to open it up. I know what's in it. It's that blue one. Okay, and then your manual. So you got the 651V, the 691V, and the 730V. These pretty much are all, I'm willing to bet, the same block, possibly bored out or even a different carburetor. I'm actually willing to bet you could probably swap carburetors and get yourself a FX730V if you have a 691V. But there you can see some maintenance log stuff, pretty much the normal stuff. Here's long-term maintenance stuff. First 8 hours, change oil. Every 100, tighten nuts and screws, change oil. Clean spark plugs, change oil filter. Actually, the oil filter you can see every 200 hours. And then replace primary filter is every 250. Secondary filter is every 250. Every 300 hours is clean combustion chamber. Who knows how you do that? And yeah, there's your oil capacities. Yeah, it's very simple machine to work on. Much more simpler than a liquid cooled. I'll show you this too. This is your specifications, just some random information that might be useful. Wiring diagram, very simple. Nothing much to it, especially being a carbureted machine. Yeah. And get your SAE measurements here. Here's your SAE stuff. Of course, I live in a very hot environment, so I sort of have to use the stuff rated a little higher for heat, but you can choose whatever oil you pretty much you want. Yeah. Next you have is your Toro manual. I'm not going to go through this one, but as you can see, there's your model numbers for each machine. That's going to be your 48, this is going to be your 52, and that's going to be your 60. You can see it actually goes pretty well in depth. These manuals sort of have a tendency to, I don't know, not mesh well with the engine stuff, but here's your hourly checks there, I guess. This just has random stuff, how to operate it for somebody who's never operated zero turn before, where stickers go, mainly for the dealer when they set it up. And here is your warranty period, right there. So this machine has a 4-year, 500-hour warranty, machine-wise. Kawasaki engine has a 3-year warranty. And the frame is a lifetime for the original owner. So if you ever cracked a frame or something like that, it's lifetime. So it actually has a very big warranty. Belts is 90 days, attachments is a year, 90 days for parts and labor for the battery, and 1 year for the parts only. But still, very good warranty for this machine, very competitive. I know my machine was recalled before I bought it, and they fixed it, which I'm fine with. It has something to do with the belt. I looked at what they were recalling, I thought it was pretty goofy, but whatever makes Toro feel better that they're not going to get a lawsuit or something like that. Okay, so to the last thing here on the garage. This is your what I used as the hydraulic fluid. You can use this. Actually, Toro says you can use this, so if you want to use this, you can. This is Mobil 1 15 weight 50 synthetic motor oil, fully synthetic. That's important. These are almost impossible to find anywhere, and when you do, they're like $9 a quart. So good luck finding them. You can get to the Toro, I don't know what it's called, hydro oil, some hydraulic oil, and that'll work just fine. Filters, you can either get online for your transmission, or you can go through Toro and get it. I got them through Toro and found this Mobil 1. I believe I got this at AutoZone, and since it's really expensive, you got to find some way to get the manager to get you a discount, because this stuff is not cheap. Pretty much any Mobil 1 thing isn't. But I'll let you look at that. It says in the manual you can use this. This is pretty much a diesel engine oil, being so thick. But yeah, that's probably the last fluid you might need to know for your hydro gears. It actually takes quite a bit of those. Can't remember exactly how many I bought. I want to say five quarts of oil for those transmissions, but you'll definitely want to reference your manual for that. Alright, let me set up for closure here. Okay, so for my little final conclusion here, I figured I'd tell you what processes I went through and what I looked at for shopping a zero turn. Important thing to note is with zero turns, they're only designed to do one thing, that's pretty much the mow. If you're doing other things with it, like towing or something, I suggest you get a machine maybe like that or so, or maybe get two, like a smaller tractor and a zero turn. These machines are designed to mow, and I wouldn't stress it any more than that. They cut grass, and if you want to make that jump to buying a machine that exclusively cuts grass, that's great. It saves you a lot of time, definitely more efficient. But if you're looking to tow, snow, plow snow, that kind of stuff, you'll definitely want to look at maybe a garden tractor or a lawn tractor. Maybe they do more, or maybe you already have one or are looking to speed up processes. This will definitely help. It's not faster than my tractor speed-wise, but doing corners at the end of rows and that kind of stuff, it definitely speeds that up. I probably lost 30 minutes or so, gained an extra 30 minutes. that I didn't have with the John Deere. I ended 30 minutes earlier in my yard. I think my yard's about 4 acres of cuttable grass. Maybe in, I don't know, probably about 30-40 minutes I got back using this machine. But yeah, that's an important thing to note. Some of the other machines I looked at a Kubota Commander, I think it was. I wasn't fond of the Courage engine, I think. I think they used the Courage engine in that machine, the Kohler Courage. It looks like a nice machine, but I've heard bad things about the Courage. I heard it was designed differently for the Kubota's machine. I looked at the 52 or 54 inch, 50, I don't know, Kubota commercial gas model. That was a nice machine, but it was just way too expensive for residential use like I use mine. For my own personal house, maybe cut a friend's lawn every now and then. I think the Kubota one almost was 10 grand for a machine like that. And you know, when you get to thinking 10 grand for a machine that cuts grass, that's quite a bit. You got to think about that as well. I looked at a Dixie chopper, wasn't too impressed. It actually had rust on it, believe it or not, even though it was made of stainless steel. I wasn't too impressed with the dealer either. John Deere, we vaguely looked at John Deere. John Deere was way overpriced for anything we are considering. I think they got different models now that are more comparative to this, but their other ones were much different machines. Plus, we've not been happy with John Deere recently, so we looked at the Toro. Exmark, we looked at the Exmark. I looked at the Pioneer, Exmark Pioneer. I looked at the E-Series. Pretty much the E-Series is this machine. The Pioneer was way too overpriced. Pioneer was more expensive than this. E-Series was overpriced, and the deck was not robust as this Toro is. Let's see. Looked at a Skag. Skag was okay. The deck was nice. It wasn't built to speed compared to this one. Just the parts were it wasn't as thick as some of the parts. The engine wasn't comparative. The hydro gear, I believe, was smaller on the Skag. Looked at a Walker. Walkers were pretty expensive. Didn't really need a bagger type setup here. What else did I look at? I looked at pretty much most brands out there. We got this May 2013, so it's been a while. Looked at a Bad Boy mower. That was nice, but for some reason the controls on it were a little finicky and off. I believe it had a Briggs or a Kohler on it. The engine wasn't too impressive. It was very stripped down. Didn't have some of the features that this had. So in looking at a mower, this one was the best option, most well built, the most affordable. The dealer gave us a really good deal on it. Definitely talk with your dealer and discuss things. Toro, I believe, is probably the biggest zero-turn manufacturer today, now that they bought out Exmark a few years ago. Most of the models across the line are pretty much all the same between Toro and Exmark. Same machine, but yeah, that's sort of why we got to Toro. Good dealerships. We have probably 3 within a close vicinity of us, very willing to help us. They weren't pressuring at all. We got to sit down, try them, no pressure buying. Sort of did what we want, which is our kind of style. The machine is very well built. The frame, the thickness of the metal, especially that piece right there, and the deck is just crazy thick. The FX engine definitely helps sell the deal. And it's just an overall good machine. It cuts grass. That's what it's designed to do. Yeah, that's how I'd like to conclude. Good machine. No complaints. crazy complaints yet. I mean, the machine is still young. 100 hours, that's nothing for zero turn. I expect try to get to 2,000, 2,500 hours before any major issues. But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Tell me if I sold you on this mower, I guess. Or tell me what mowers you're looking at. Maybe I can help you decide or give you some information. Maybe I tried one you hadn't. But yeah, let me know. Tell me what you think. Tell me what zero turn you use. And thanks for watching, and thank you, Toro.